Hi guys, I'm Mark.
I'm Penny.
And we are the Oyster Boys, and today, this is a pretty...
Yeah.
It's a special video for us really, isn't it?
It is. It's been a long time waiting.
Yeah, this...
I still remember when we made, well, you made it, but we were talking about it.
Yeah, this beer is like a year in the making, really. Almost a year. So I made this beer in January, point in January.
2023, yeah.
2023. We are now on... What's the date? The 22nd of December.
So it's a Christmas video as well.
Yeah, Christmassy video, 2023. This is a beer with a 50-year-old recipe. So this book, Brewing Beers Like Those You Buy by Dave Line, we've made a couple of beers out of this before. Yes. This beer came from this book, and it is for the Courage Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah, so it was retired in 2003 and then reinstated in 2011. I don't know if you could still get it.
I don't know. I think they reinstated it briefly.
So it was so Courage. So they actually merged with Barclays and Perkin, and they actually were the brewery that used to supply the Russian Imperial, the Tsarist family, and Albert von Lecoq. He was the guy that basically gave it imperial status before it was a Russian stout. So I think it was Catherine II of Russia was the first person to import it. It's the royal family from London. And then he basically gave it the imperial status that become the Russian Imperial Stout.
Nice.
So, and you were saying it was at that point it was the highest brewed beer in the UK.
It was, well, according to this book.
Yeah.
No idea how true or not it is because the book was like published in the 70s. They've said that this is the strongest beer regularly brewed in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
So it's a pretty big beer. 1103 or 1.103 original gravity, so it's a big.
I like Russian Imperial Stouts. It's not something I really go for, and to be honest, they're quite rare now because usually you get the ones now that are like rum aged or in a barrel and stuff like that, which is probably loosely based on an Imperial Stout, but a true Russian Imperial Stout, you probably have to go into a specialist to sort of,
You're not really going to see it on tap anywhere, and if you do, you'll only be able to buy it in a
third,
a third or a schooner, like a push. No one's going to serve you a pint of it now. Well, you can probably ask for a pint of it. It costs you about 12 quid to get a pint of it. But so I've made it according to this recipe. So I made it in a Grainfather GF30, which is what we use to brew all our beers in. I'm just going to run through quickly what the grain bill was in this beer. If you use a Grainfather, you'll probably understand how ridiculous this sounds straight off the bat. So total grain bill is 8.3 kilos. That's hard going in a Grainfather 30 litre because
how were you stirring that to make sure there was no things?
It was tough. And even
this is before we had the welded.
Yeah, so this
still had the rubber things.
This is the rubber things which are going to come off at some point. Yeah. So it's 6 kilos of Maris Otter.
Ooh, good mouthful.
Actually, wait, when I say it was 8.3 kilos, a kilo of that is brown sugar.
Oh, okay.
So
just purely probably to bring the ABV up.
Yeah. So you've got 6 kilos of Maris Otter, a kilo of brown sugar, half kilo of Crystal 150, 250 grams of chocolate, 250 grams of dark malt, and I think I chucked some oat husks in to make my life easier because using the Grainfather.
Absolutely.
But I making it like you are right at the limit of the liquor going through just the drain holes at the side, like where you'd put your handle in to pull it out.
Oh yeah.
Tough fucking going. The recipe in the book is for 10 litres, but I didn't want to make 10 litres because why would you make 10 when you can make 20?
You know what they say, only those that have been too far know how far they can go.
It's like Icarus, mate. Flew too close to the sun. So I made it in January.
So how did you just leave it in normal conditions?
I fermented it in the Fermzilla. No pressure, just had the spunning valve set to wide open. Made it in there, transferred it into a keg.
Yeast?
Carbonated it. Yeast-wise, I used London Ale, Wyeast London Ale yeast. And the book just says, this is how delightfully specific it is, wine yeast.
I mean, it's 50 years ago. You probably had about 3 yeast to choose from, didn't you?
So yeah, wine yeast.
And the hops, you were saying there was quite a lot of hops.
Fuggles, 200 grams.
Wow.
Of whole leaf Fuggles, just for bittering. Nothing at the end. It's all at the start. So IBUs wise, pretty high. It's like 85, but you won't really get that because it's just a.
It's whole leaf as well, isn't it? So
yeah, but shall I get this in the glass?
Absolutely.
Because waiting a year.
They're waiting. They're desperate.
And they're waiting. They've been waiting 3 minutes now. So I'm going to get it in the glass, and we'll see how it is.
Okay. Wow.
Pouring leaves much to be desired here, but this. Look at that.
Looks great, doesn't it? I mean,
it's black, right?
It's
black.
difficult because there's going to be connoisseurs of. I mean, we've got the guy that we go to the Homebrew Club that actually, buys barrels and ages it in.
Yeah.
That level, we're not.
We're not there.
But as a beer as a whole, that's how we're going to judge it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think if I went and ordered an imperial stout, I mean, I'd look at that and I'd probably say it's like a 9 out of 10 on looks. It's got a thick. The head's not white. It's tan. It's like just a bit brown. But you can't see through that. That is black. That is.
It's I mean, that head is not going anywhere, is it?
No, I'm giving it a 9. Don't know about you.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9 as well. I'll match you.
Can we sniff it? I want to smell
it.
It's like
this is where
the
devil's in the detail, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like it's very like coffee and chocolatey, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the very, very end is when you get that sort of
booze
sweetness.
Yeah,
the sweetness of booze.
It doesn't smell like spirity or phenolic or anything like that. It's not like a strong alcohol smell that's going to put you off.
Wine-esque, isn't
no,
it?
No. Actually, it smells quite fruity as well.
Yeah, you get those sort of like plummy flavours coming through.
Yeah, and I think that's probably from quite a lot of that smell come from the yeast. So it's the Wyeast London Ale 1, I think is the one I use of this, and it does smell great. But it's like fruit and chocolate, isn't it?
That's what I imagine if you smelt like Winston Churchill's hair to smell like.
So, I mean, for me, it's not my kind of beer, right? This is not what I would go and have.
Like a game, a pheasant. This is the beer that you'd have with that, isn't it?
Or if you're sat in your snug in your front room and you've got the fire burning.
Cigar.
Cigar. I don't like cigars, man. I don't like cigars. Yeah. But if you've got the fire on and you have one of these and you're smoking a rollie and you've got this, that smells fantastic. But again, like for me, I like lager, pale, hazies.
It smells great for me. 8.
Yeah, I think I give it a 6.5 just because it's not my kind of beer, and I don't want to skew our ratings by just rating things I don't like super high. But it does smell good. It does smell really good though. Should we give it a sniff? Should we give it a taste? Sorry, should we give it a taste? Yeah. Keep in mind, right? This beer is what was the ABV on it?
It's 10 point something, was it?
9, yeah, 10%, 9.9, 10%. It's a strong one. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, Danny.
That is good.
Ooh.
That is good.
Isn't it just? Oh.
You wouldn't think it was 10% actually, drinking it.
No. It's sort of like you get hit with that treacle sweetness and then you get a bit of that smoky aftertaste that comes through. And sometimes you get those like really nasty beers that are just strong for the sake of the tramps that drink along. And you do sort of think of, it sounds bad, but the old English brands that are supplying those, export and stuff like that. But this is like, it's so like flavoursome, isn't it?
It's very It's very drinkable for a 10% beer, and that's probably a dangerous thing. That's a bad thing.
Do you know what? And this is a big, bold statement, but I went to what's called Paysan recently, and they have the Strath Hendrick,
which is a bar in Chester.
Sorry,
for anyone that's not local, it's a bar in Chester.
It's a bar in Chester that it's downstairs is just wine, upstairs is just beer, and they had the Strath Hendrick Christmas beer, and the guy went, it's phenomenal. That's better.
Really?
Yeah. It's not better than the original Strath Hendrick Quad, but they had the Quad Christmas beer. That's better.
Yeah.
That is up there.
I'm always surprised sometimes, when we do a dark beer that I like, because generally they're not not my bag. For 10%, this is incredibly drinkable. I think maybe, so there was a kilo of sugar that went into it.
Yeah, brown sugar you said there, wasn't
Yeah, I wonder what it'd be like if you were to bulk up the grain instead of using the sugar, because it's like...
He probably tried and couldn't do it and thought...
but with the size of the bucket you had at the time. They didn't sell big buckets in the 70s. I think it could probably be thicker, mouthfeel-wise.
Do you think? Would you want it thicker?
I
mean, don't forget, they're probably having this with caviar, aren't they? So
that's a bloody good beer, isn't it? A bloody good stuff.
Oh. It's just, I think it's the complexity of the flavours that come through. Do you know what it reminds me of? You know, we did what was the one with the little space monkey and they had the treacle.
Bristol Beer Factory, that'll be. Tomo had the same shirt.
Yeah. It's like that, but without the treacle.
Yeah.
But all the flavour and the superbness.
That's lovely. That's really, really good. Dave Line, R.I.P. But this book, right, which I bought for £1.99, has some really good beers in it. And this is one of them. Like, Carling don't make that one. But this one is great. And now, the more I'm drinking of it, it is 10%.
Yeah, well, it's... yeah.
Yeah. It's just
usually a 10% beer. We would just. We would just not drink much of it. We'd taste it and go, oh no, that's enough. But I just can't keep going back for more.
This is it's very drinkable. I think taste-wise for me, it's strong. That's strong. Like I was saying before, it doesn't feel strong. It does. It's strong beer. I give it a 7.
Only a 7?
Yeah, I don't like this kind of beer, do I? It's not my thing, but
8.5 for me.
Yeah.
I think that's...
I think where this is going to shine is going to be price, right? Because if you go out and you buy an Imperial Stout, I mean, we were saying before, how much...
the head's still hanging around.
It does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But like, how much would you buy a schooner or whatever?
They're usually about £7-8, aren't they, for a schooner?
Yeah.
I think I've been to the Glen
Affric, it'll be.
Glen Affric, and they've
done
Glen
Eagles.
Playing golf. I think they've done 2/3, and they're about £8, aged in rum barrels for 3 years and stuff like that.
So mine was aged in a keg that I stole from.
They'll know now.
You'll know now.
Don't know anyway.
Yeah, the previous video I've done, yeah. It was a keg that I liberated from Beavertown.
Set me free.
Set me free. And for a pint of this, it would set you back £1.24. Compared to £8 for a 2/3, right?
I mean, the amount of grain that's gone into it, I mean, you're talking double that you pay for your normal lager.
£1.24, mate, for a pint. I'd be all over it. I think it's price is like a 9.5 out of 10 for what you're getting. There are beers that I've gone out and I've bought and been really disappointed. This, if I'd have gone into it knowing I was ordering a Russian Imperial Stout, I'd be all over this.
Yeah.
And price-wise, I think it works out incredibly well. It's just the time. Like, I made this in January.
It's worth it.
And we're now in December. I think probably
it didn't take up any space, did it? Other than the keg.
It took up the keg, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got a spare keg,
kegs. We've got 10 kegs, haven't we?
if you had a keg knocking around spare and you wanna tie it up for a whole year, or if you bottled it and you kept it in a cupboard or whatever, perfect. I think that if you left this for another year, it could probably get better as well.
Are you going to bottle?
I'll bottle some off the keg and I'll leave it.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think for sessionability? Did you do price, by the way?
No, 9.
What do you think about sessionability?
I mean,
1. It's a 1. You couldn't have more because it's 10%.
Yeah.
Well, you could have more. You couldn't drive over.
Yeah, I'd be pushing my bike home. And getting a kebab as well on the way home.
That'd be a good shout, actually.
Yeah, via Sheridan's.
Nice. Ooh. But for a 10% Russian Imperial Stout, it's a very drinkable beer. A very drinkable beer.
Like I say, I think I've had 1 or 2 Russian Imperial Stouts in the past. I'm going to have a few more.
Yeah. What now? Immediately after
this one?
Got fucking 20 litres, mate.
Yeah. I just don't know who I'm going to give it to.
No, that's the thing. So
that's the thing.
If you make this beer...
Because I've got 2 taps, so Russian Imperial Stout or lager.
Russian Imperial Stout or tonic water. Yeah. So the downside of this is if you do it and you keg it, you're going to have it on tap. And unless you are an absolute fucking booze fiend, you're going to struggle. Because you don't want to have 6 pints of this on a Saturday night. You don't, do you?
You can fly to the moon. The moon. You can fly the moon. You can fly to the moon on that keg.
Yeah, it's.
But you'd be very satisfied flying it.
It'd be a great flight. Turbulence.
I don't think you'd come back.
One-way ticket. It's a one-way ticket. Great beer. Good recipe from this book. I'll put the link down below if you want to buy it, or up there if you want to buy it. I don't know where the links go anymore.
I just think if you've never tried that style, if you're into your quads, definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe doubles, probably a little bit. It's not that raisiny, but you know.
It's a bit, it's like more plummy. More plummy, isn't it?
If you're into that style, and then obviously if you're into your Russian Imperial, and it's obviously if you're just into your porters that are really, your strong porters.
Yeah.
I can't recommend this enough.
No, this is a good one. For Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Voice is out.
Yeah, well, hang on.
Sorry.